Since we started, we deployed over $20 million into Ivorian economy. We raised money, we bought 1,000 cars, and we created 1,000 jobs by giving out those cars. It was the beginning of the project. Now we have more and more investors reaching out to us because they see potential if we continue with the same trajectory, that this business will hit 100 million ARR next 24 months.
Maybe just to kick off and to set context for the listeners, what is it, like just in simple terms, that GoCab does exactly? How does it work?
A lot of people who are looking for a job, they don't have money because if they, let's say, want to work as a gig worker, work as a delivery courier or a driver, and that's the easier way how to find a job. For them, they need deposit in order to rent this vehicle. And most of them, they don't have that deposit. Then when they're renting, all of the costs related to those operations are always on them. And a lot of providers, they take advantage of these drivers. And we saw it and we realized, okay, that's really unfair. And we need to somehow solve this and find a solution. We thought, okay, let us speak to the government of Ivory Coast. That's what we did. We went to see the Minister of Investments and we told her that, look, we see this problem, which what we're trying to find as a solution. We're trying to bring big volume of cars and each car will create a job for these people. And we give these people opportunity to pay out this car over time from their income. And then the government supported us. We were very lucky because, again, the Minister of Investments, head of CPC, Madame Amisha, she's an investment banker herself. She used to work for SocGen CIB in New York. And she quickly understood what we're trying to do as investors, that it's an impact investment that will bring value to the economy, that we are net investors into the economy because since we started, we deployed over like $20 million into Ivorian economy. And she said, okay, we will help you. We will get you easier way in terms of import duties, VAT, exoneration to support your project. And she really delivered on her words. And for me, it was kind of unusual because people have certain stigma about Africa, when it comes to doing business or when you're a foreign investor, that you expect things to go wrong or like people not to do what they promised. But she promised and she delivered. And then it was on our end just to deliver what we promised. And we raised money. We bought 1,000 cars, first 1,000 cars, and we created 1,000 jobs by giving out those cars. And that was the beginning of the project. We also hired a strong tech team because one of the problems that we found in this industry is that this business is completely undigitalized and people don't have full kind of spectrum of data access. And they mainly, most of those small fleets or rentals, they manage this with pen and paper. So they don't even have Excel. So that's why we built an in-house fleet management system, which is controlling everything and which gives us opportunity to control maintenance, control all the operations and make a good digital product for the driver where it's transparent for him as well, that he understands that he basically becomes the owner of the car. This has been learning curve, I would say. Obviously we did not start and knew what we were going to do from day one. We were testing, adjusting the model. But so far I would say that it's been very rewarding journey. Mainly because I see that what we are doing is having real impact and like real people who are our drivers. Because each time I go to Abidjan, I speak to the drivers and I see that how happy they are, how appreciative they are of us starting this business. And obviously it encourages you to do more, to build more, because you understand that someone needs you, someone needs what you do.
Yeah, totally. And basically the model is you buy cars, right? And then you basically loan, like you give them to existing drivers or potential new drivers that want to be like mobility entrepreneurs, and they pay you back over 3 years. And afterwards they own the car. Like that's the core, right?
But the product also, includes a few other features. So we have maintenance, which is a very important part of this business. So we provide maintenance to the drivers. It's included in the offering. We provide insurance. So all of those costs are absorbed by ourselves. And that's why the driver, he is zero deposit driver. So he doesn't need to come with a lot of money in order to join us. And it's a digital solution. So they just download the app, they go through the questionnaire, KYC, we invite them for the training, and we provide them training about financial literacy. Because most of them, the problem they have is that they spend everything they earn same day. For example, they make certain revenue, and out of that revenue, they spend whatever they made same day. And it's a habit of not building wealth, of not building savings. It's something what we're trying to change. And we explain to all of them that using our product, they inevitably building wealth, because by year 3, this car has a residual value. And this is the savings that they built over 3 years, which they can sell on a secondary market and, put their kids through education or use that money for some family needs. So that's what we explain to all of them. And we explain about the importance of financial literacy and knowing how much you make a month, knowing how much you spend a month, how much you save a month. Because it sounds a little bit basic, but the reality is that most of our guys, they unfortunately don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like in terms of like the customers, are they majority already like Uber, Bolt, Yango drivers, or are there also a lot of people that had different jobs and now because of that opportunity they basically change careers?
Yeah, it's a mixture. So we not, for example, some of our customers, we have even customers who are entrepreneurs. For example, they have small business and they do it as a side gig. So in order to make money, and for them, that's the only way how they can basically have a car which they can utilize for their small business and for their work in Yango or Bolt or in Drive. And we're trying to support them to be on their side. And we explain to all of them that we are not the ride-hailing company, because ride-hailing company, they have their own vested interests, right? They want the driver to make trips and to be online and to basically deliver. We, as people who are running this product for them, we're always on their side. And we say, as long as you perform, you pay on time, we will be always on your side. And we always this membership program for the benefit of the drivers. And so far it's been working well because a lot of details of this business are based on trust. And you need to make sure that you basically have a very transparent relationship because we don't have any small print. We also a Sharia compliant business. So we don't have any interest. We don't have any fines. So it's all transparent and clear from day one. So there are no sort of changes or games or anything which drivers don't understand, because a lot of people, they take advantage of their financial literacy and they try to push on them a lot of things or a lot of small print conditions which they never read or never understand. And that's where we are different, I would say. And that's what's important for us, because we are, first of all, values driven business. And it was never about about sacrificing our sort of values versus for the benefit of the profit. So we always prioritize values over the profit. And so far it's proven to be the most successful model.
Yeah, totally. Just one question, and then we can also maybe go to like the revenue growth and the traction so far. When they like download the app and then you assess basically if they're eligible basically for a loan or basically to receive the car that they can repay over time, how do you assess that? Because at the end it is a form of credit or like loaning them the car, right, which they repay over time.
Basically how it works is that they download the app, they fill in the data, we use that initial data to do initial credit scoring. The ones which we like, we invite for the training. For the training, it means that they come to our office, to our facility. We spend with them at least 3 hours explaining in detail how the product works, what they were trying to achieve, why we're doing it, what are the problems they will face, what do do in different situations. And we really invest time in that because it's most important moment where you basically make that credit decision, because you need to make sure that the people who are eligible, that they are serious about this and they understand what you're doing and they understand what they want to do. Because if this opportunity is just a side gig for them and they're not serious, then we better give it to someone who is serious, for whom it's a lifesaver, because we have a huge wait list. So we have over 5,000 people waiting, and we explain it to every driver. Say, look, if you're not serious or you're not confident, better give place to someone who is serious and who is motivated. And that's after the training, we basically choose the drivers as a result of it. And we put them on the card same day usually.
Since you basically launched, you were able to scale to, I think it's now 18 million annualized revenue, right? Like under 18 months. Like, what do you think if you look back now, what were like the main drivers that you were able to scale up that quickly?
I would say that it's 3 important components of this business model, which where you need to have in order to succeed, and which in a way act as a natural barrier for competitors if they just want to go start this business. Unless you have these 3 components, it's very difficult to. Because first component is you need to have strong relationship with the car manufacturers, suppliers, OEMs. And because in our model, we never buy cars from dealership, we buy directly from the OEM. And that allows us to achieve higher margin, because we don't have dealership margin in between. Number 2, you need to have a strong operational team who have experience and who have experience operating this business at scale. Because most of the players in this space, they grow to the size of like 300, 400 cars, and then they start failing operationally, because to operate it at the quantum of thousands, you need different skill set, different people who know how to operate at scale. And it's very unique skill set that you need to have. Third factor is ability to raise money, because this business is capital intensive. So you cannot do it with 1 million. You cannot do it with 2 million, right? You need tens of millions in order to make it work at scale. And you need to have ability to raise that quantum at the certain speed. So if you're able to raise fast and execute fast and strong relationships with the suppliers, then it can work. But as you see, it's very complex and unique kind of set of which need to come together. And if you have these three elements, then you can scale fast and you can do even things faster, I would say, than we did, because we, again, were learning, and we were learning on the go, making mistakes. And in our company, we are absolutely encouraging people to make mistakes, to learn from their mistakes, and not to be afraid, because we're trying to build this startup culture, which is like a healthy, agile culture, where we encourage people to go and do things, not to overthinking and not to just sit and do nothing because they're afraid of making decisions. But when you do things, obviously, statistically, you make mistakes, and it's absolutely fine.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot that I want to unpack, like the fundraising, the basically buying from the manufacturers directly, and also culture, but maybe we can dive into it as the conversation goes. Maybe first of all, like the capital part, because as you say, I mean, you have to buy the cars, right? Which requires money, and it's obviously like
Exactly.
the contrary to like what every VC preaches, like asset light models, right? No inventory.
Yes.
We don't want like large capex on the balance sheet. So
Yeah.
you just raised 45 million, right? Like one of the largest seed rounds in African VC, 15 million equity, 30 million debt.
Yes.
What was the process like? Like, take me kind of behind the curtains of how it was, like from like idea of raising to closing.
Yeah, it's been challenging, I can tell you. Asset management background, which we have both me and Henrik, maybe it helped us, because we were, as most of the investors told us, were much more prepared than any other seed round founders, because we had the proper data room, had audited accounts, we had, what else, all of the materials, everything ready basically. Because unit economics, so analysis, all of the financial models, business plans. So as long as you have everything ready, and it's easier for investors to work with you, I think that defines whether you're able to fundraise or not as well. And because I was always in my previous career on the other side of the table, looking through those data rooms and investing, I more or less knew what are the prerequisite requirements, or I don't know, the tick box you need to meet in order to raise money successfully. And that's why we had everything ready, and we were focused on building the relationships with the right people. Because investing is about storytelling. So you need to build the right story. Relations with your investors are never transactional, because this is a long-standing relationship that you build with people who believe in you, who back you, and who will be with you for quite a long journey. Because until you basically exit this business, or there will be some sort of change, liquidity event, these people will be with you. And it's usually years and years. And that's why investing in the right relationships and looking at it not transactionally is what I would recommend to people who are just starting fundraising journey. And not being desperate, we were in that position, I would say, because obviously our business model is a bit not typical to the other startups, because we never had the problem of runway, because we are profitable. We were growing revenue organically. So it was not a situation where we needed to raise money in order to survive. And that obviously changes the context of the fundraising. And it's important differentiator that I would add. But apart from that, I mean, all of the fundraising efforts, there was a lot of work and a lot of it would not be fair to say that we raised easily without any effort. No, it's a lot of work. Every fundraising exercise is a lot of work on structuring, on having lawyers, having all the data room, all of documents, emails. So it's important work that every funder needs to do, regardless of how successful your business is. Because you need to prove it to the institutional investors. In order to prove it to institutional investors, there is a certain standard of validation that you need to provide. It's the same standard for all of the investors. And once you do it once, then it becomes easier with other investors. That's what we saw. I mean, because we raised first convertible we raised from Curate Capital. It was the first venture capital fund which supported us. And then others started joining in because they saw that we continue growing, we continue scaling. Now we have more and more investors reaching out to us because they see the potential if we continue with the same trajectory, that this business will hit 100 million ARR next 24 months. Obviously, it's a lot of work, so we're not there yet. But if we just continue working at the same pace nonstop, 24/7, pushing for this, it will inevitably happen. And I'm more than confident that we'll get there because it's not some unachievable goal.
What does, just to double down on that, what
Yeah.
does the path to 100 million ARR look like?
So for us, it means that if we continue same pace that since we started, so we will get there in 24 months. It's adding new markets, executing on the new markets that we added to the portfolio, I would say, adding more cars, adding more motorbikes, growing our team, because right now we have about 150 people. So it would mean at least twice we need to grow our team, 2 times, so 300 people. It would mean that we need to inject more capital, and we're working on that. So to raise more debt, not equity, but debt together. And so far, it seems to be working out well. But I don't want to sound overconfident because in life, what I understood that you can plan one thing and the other thing happens. So that's why, as long as our intentions stay right and we stick to our mission and we continue pushing and helping people, I think we will get there. But if we, I don't know, have sort of euphoria that we raised a lot of money and become suddenly lazy or too proud of our success, then obviously it will not get us far. And I think we're all aware of this, and we try to stay humble, to work hard, and tell everyone in our team that it's just the beginning. We're just starting. I mean, we have just the platform to prove ourselves, to make it happen. And after the next 24 months, I mean, we can have another discussion with you and we will assess where we are, hopefully, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, like part of that expansion plan, I mean, right now you're really operational in Cote d'Ivoire, right? And then
we also have Middle East operations. In Africa, we see a few other markets. So we have Ghana, we have Ethiopia, we have Angola, DRC, which we are considering as the markets going forward. But in the Middle East, I see Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Iraq, these 3 markets. In UAE and Saudi Arabia, we already started. So in South America, we started in Chile, but we see natural expansion into Peru and Colombia. So this scaling will take time and effort. It's not easy operating so many jurisdictions, different time zones, and it's operationally intense. But at the same time, it's giving us the opportunity to grow and scale very fast and have more potential for the next 5 years to basically have much bigger ambition than 100 million ARR. And that's what we're building now. It's like a first foundation stones for that.
Yeah, totally. I would assume, like, just also having worked in different businesses, also one not constraint but challenge when you scale that quickly and open lots of new markets is people, right? Because at the end, like, a company is like a combination of people that work towards a vision. Like, how do you think about scaling the team while maintaining the processes and the culture within?
Yeah, culture is the key. I mean, in any business, business is not about revenue numbers or, I don't know, right investors or some building. It's all about culture. And when we try to explain the corporate culture that we have, we always say that we are mission-driven, values-first business, which is attracting people who share those values. And we, first of all, focus on those principles when we hire people and the reasons why they join us, because they want to grow with us and they believe in our mission. We also focus on bringing in people from different walks of life because they add different perspective. Bring people who have entrepreneurial experience, any sort of entrepreneurial experience, because we value that most, because people who understand what it is to be an entrepreneur, they would understand our customers, because our customers are also micro entrepreneurs. We are empowering micro entrepreneurs, gig workers across Africa, right? So that's why people who been in their shoes, they would understand their customers better and they would value those customers more and try to support them more. And that's the priority has been so far. I mean, so far we've built fantastic team. I think I would say that most of the success, out of those 3 elements that I explained to you, which are the core foundation stones, let's say, for the success of this business model, I would say most of it, maybe 40 to 50% of it, is the team and operational capability, so ability to operationally manage it and scale it. And that's where we've been successful so far, and that's where our focus lays and where we want to motivate people and provide them with more growth and more opportunity.
Yeah, no, amazing. I also like, I think also team is just like still so underrated. I think especially for like early stage founders that like do everything themselves to get like to this next step. It's all about people in the end. Also, like beginning of the conversation, you mentioned that like one of the free, like one's team, right? Where you say like 40-50%, and the other one is like having contacts directly to manufacturers.
Yes.
And I mean, your inventory is mainly Chinese, so it's Chinese manufacturers. Do you think that going forward in like car sales, especially to emerging markets, but also Africa, China is just going to absolutely dominate? Or how do you think the future will play out there?
So yeah, they already won this battle. So one of the hypotheses, I mean, when we were starting this business, was the global south. So basically that, because I've been living in the UK, I invested in European and US companies for quite a long time. And I realized that now the paradigm has changed. So the global south is overtaking and the world is changing. As you can see, maybe yourself, it's the dynamics on the economic growth, on the population growth. They all project completely different picture going forward to what we have right now of where the powers and economic powers will be. And that's why businesses across emerging markets, I think they will have more and more growth organically, because the economy, let's say economy of Ivory Coast, what is growing 7.5% a year. Economy of United Kingdom is growing 0.03% a year. So you can tell that, like, if you take the 10-year horizon, where each economy will be, right? And where you grow with the economy or not, or you don't grow. That's why I think that having Chinese cars is the reality of the global south trade. Right now, China is supplying most of the goods to Africa, to South America, to the Middle East, and they successfully expanding that. And they already won, as I told you. So, and that's why historically, I think China, they've been good in supplying goods to the global south, but they were not good into marketing things and into building businesses outside of China. And this is where we, as people who know how to do it, we basically can use their technology or supply of goods or in order to utilize it in different ways. So it sounds a little basic, but this is the idea or hypothesis for any founder who is listening to this, that this global south trade is between China as the supply and the rest of global south as the customer. So if you sit in between, you inevitably make business, right? And
Yeah,
it's
totally.
a lot of people.
You can leverage your like domestic knowledge of the markets, enabling basically market entrance kind of for Chinese manufacturers.
Sure.
And the question I would like to end on, because I also want to be respectful of the time that you have. How do you think, because like part of the capital that you raised now is also going to electric, right? At least motorbikes. I'm not sure if it's cars. You can explain
Cars as
that.
well. Yeah. We actually already have electric cars and we're buying more because we believe in the transformation. And basically this is one of the main hypotheses apart from job creation is the transformation and the ecological impact of our business. Because even petrol cars that we started with, they are all Euro 5 standards, so they are much more efficient and much less CO2 emissions than the old ones, which are being replaced naturally from the roads. Obviously, the future will be electric cars, and we understand it, and that's why we started significant investments into that space. So we committed to have more than 50% of our fleet in electric cars. That's a big, so it means more than 5,000 cars will be electric. So it's a big commitment, which we started implementing right now.
How in that context, because like, for example, I traveled to Lisbon last year and I talked to an Uber driver and he also was driving an electric car or a hybrid. And like even in like developed markets like Portugal, right? Like the constraint still with EV are charging stations. So like how do you think about that? And there are also like different mechanisms, right? Like of charging.
We had that conversation. There was a roundtable organized by the Minister of Transport of Ivory Coast. And what he said is that the problem of this industry across Africa is in chicken and egg problem, meaning that you have people like ourselves who make decisions on what cars to procure. And then you have basically suppliers of the electric chargers who build infrastructure. And they depend on each other. But people who need to buy cars, they say that there are not enough chargers. And people who install chargers, they say there are not enough cars. So someone has to do the first move and be the first mover. And we understand it. And we're happy to do that because it's pure economics, supply and demand. If you have enough demand, the supply emerges. Because building EV infrastructure is not difficult. It's much easier than building a petrol station or gas station because it's much less capex. It's much quicker. So that's why I saw how it happened in other economies. I know that it's pure economics. So if you have supply, the demand will be there. I will be there in case of the drivers. And I personally think that switching electric is also economically more efficient for the drivers because they will be spending much less on petrol because it's 1/3 of their petrol expense. And it means that they can take home more money. And the only challenge I see in this industry is the secondary value of the car, because the secondary value of a petrol car for now is much higher than the secondary value of the electric car. It's because of the dynamics of this business and the whole car industry. For some reason, people don't want used electric cars, or when they buy them, they buy them very, very cheaply because they're still worried about the battery, about its capacity, ability for it to basically continue working. And those factors are important for our customers because for them, they need to, one of the ideas is that after 3 years' time, the residual value of the car is their other savings. So they might be making more money by saving on petrol, but the residual value of the car might be lower because it's electric. So this is the decision which they need to make. And obviously we, as their providers, we try to explain them cost versus benefit, and they need to decide what is more suitable for them. So we're not pushing them either in one or the other direction just because we want to greenwash ourselves, because it has to be driven by the unit economics and the economic impact for the driver, because that's the bigger priority for us than putting electric car on the road.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, at the center is, and I can clearly tell that already from the beginning to now for you and the team, it's like impact, right? And if that's there, then the business thrives as well.
Yes.
And if not, then it's absolute. Every decision basically is made from that framework.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for taking the time. I think that's a good note to end on. I think we covered a lot. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, and I hope, as agreed, we speak in 2 years' time, right?
Yes, we will, for sure.